Hi, wonderfully created. Welcome to the 15-minute challenge with a twist. This is where I make a item from scratch in 15 minutes and do a bit of a chit chat along with it. Other people on YouTube might do a get ready with me and then share a story. I want to do that on this channel, but with sewing. The reason why this channel is called creatediamm is because it explores us exploring our creativity, but also I want us to use this as an opportunity to discuss the intricacies of the human kind person as created beings. So I'm not really going to explain how I made this overshirt, this top, because I'm hoping the videos and the notes might be enough. And secondly, even though I personally really like this little piece, I'm not sure how many people would actually want to make it. But just in case, if you do want better instructions or clearer instructions, let me know and I might pop up something on creatediamm.com. What's also nice about this challenge is you get to see that you don't need that long to make something nice. 15 minutes and you could be done. The topic of the day is the art of arguing. If you implement these points, it's going to make you a better communicator and actually maybe make you enjoy communication, discourse, and differences. Number 1. You need to first understand that arguing can be good. Arguing should be a realm where different parties bring different perspectives on a particular topic and are able to have a mature conversation about why they have that perspective. Now, if we do this, we know it can really help us improve our understanding of different things that we come across. It can help us develop products, good mind frames, improve policy. Being able to understand someone else's perspective can help us grow as human beings. So, if we take arguing as something that can be good, it's going to help us not have a confrontational attitude every time there's a disagreement. If you always see arguing as bad, you're going to be a lot more hostile and negative, which is not a good way to start. Some people really dislike arguing, especially within a couple situation. But what you have to realize is whether you're arguing about toothpaste or about where you want to live, if you can argue and communicate effectively, you're improving each other. You're going to be a boss couple. Number 2, take time to find how the other person is defining the words they use. Take time to find how the other person is defining the words they use. I've seen so many situations, right, where people are arguing about a topic and then they keep going round and round in circles, and by the end of the argument, they realize they were saying the exact same thing. Or there's two people arguing and they're getting very frustrated because they feel like the other person isn't understanding their point. There can be a number of reasons why this is, but one of the main reasons this may be is because you're both not taking the time to find out how the other person defines the words they use. So tip number 2 to becoming an argument master is to take time to find out how the other person defines the words they use. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're talking about friends and you're arguing about what kind of friends you should have or what a friend should do, etc., etc. Here's what you have to realize. Two people can use the word friends but mean different things. One person can use the word friend and actually mean acquaintance every time they use that word. Another person can use the word friend and actually mean friend. So some people will define someone they meet off and on, say hi to here and there as a friend. Whilst maybe if you're like me, you reserve that title to someone who's actually proven that they care about your emotional state and has had deeper conversations with you. But if you don't establish that and you both assume you're using the word friend in the same way, it's not going to help the communication. Or another word is like love. Love can mean I unconditionally love you. It can mean I romantically love someone. It can mean friendship. It can mean like a family love. It might not even mean love. Some people just throw around the word love for something they just like. Oh yeah, I love you. Yeah. So take that time to actually literally go wait, what do you actually mean by that word? Especially when you find yourself going around in circles and coming back to the same point again and again and again. It might be because you two are misunderstanding each other. Tip number 3. Okay, so tip number 2 kind of inspires this tip. To avoid the confusion of someone misinterpreting what you're saying because of the words you're using, just use the words you actually mean. So if you actually love something deeply, then fine, use the word love. If you only like something, then use the word like. If someone's just your friend, then use the word friend. If someone's just your acquaintance, use the word acquaintance. If you actually mean all men, then you can say all men. Or if you actually just mean the 2 men in your past that hurt you, then just use that word 2 men in the past that hurt you. It just helps the other person understand what you're saying more and not make unneeded assumptions. And plus, they may not be able to have the opportunity to come across an amazing video like this, explain the art of arguing and understand that they need to find out what you really mean. So, you need to help them along a bit. So yeah, just try and say what you mean. I know sometimes we exaggerate because we're really trying to put on like an emotional point or things like that. But us taking that disciplinary step to say what we mean will also make us think more before we speak. And we all know we could all do a little bit more thinking before we do a little bit of speaking. So try it. Number 4, state what you understand and acknowledge about the other person. This is so good. It makes arguing so much more enjoyable when the other person pauses for a moment without emphasizing their point over and over again and goes, I understand where you're coming from. I see your perspective. It helps you feel like even though you have differences, there is still respect. I think one of the things I find concerning about our generation is sometimes it seems that some people will take different opinions and just brand it as hate or a lack of love or care. No, we can have different opinions, that's fine. But I think what we need to do better is communicate that we actually care about someone and still love and appreciate someone, even if we have differences. And in the place of arguing, we can do that by literally using those words. I actually understand where you're coming from. I can see why the event of X, Y, and Z can lead you to think this way. In fact, I can see how I would think that way as well. But this is the perspective I'm also considering within what you're saying. Do you agree? Do you see where I'm coming from? Like, that's great. It shows that you want to grow, you want to develop. Not just that you just want to win. Like, no, your goal is to actually communicate truth and better someone's life. And it shows that when you're actually listening to them. And I think to make that point, you have to actually do that point where you listen to the other person and understand and acknowledge what they're saying. So by doing it, I think it also helps calm you down and not get overworked or make the experience negative. And also, just in case you're not correct, maybe this would be a good chance for you to change the way you think and adopt a better approach of thinking. Tip number 5. When you're in an argument or a discussion, try not to talk too long, please. There's a number of reasons why this is important. 1, it goes back to that point of valuing the other person and not just trying to dominate. Number 2, you may have said a number of things already. You want the other person to have time to process what you've just said and respond or even agree to it before you move on to another point. Number 3, sometimes when we talk too long within an argument, we go totally off track onto topics or side roads that don't lead to the actual point of the argument. So then you kind of have to pause and go, wait, what are we actually talking about, or what are we actually trying to solve? 4, by pausing, you have an opportunity to ask the other person if they understand what you're saying. Before, we were talking about whether or not you really understand the definition someone's given to a word. But also, we need to check when we're making really good points if the other person actually understands our point. If you assume the other person understands what you're saying, you're going to get frustrated later if they're not responding in a way that you think is adequate. Even if they don't agree, maybe the way they're disagreeing doesn't seem like they've acknowledged your point. But it might not be that they're just ignoring you. It might just be that they didn't really understand what you said, but then you said 5 other things which they're now trying to address. So that initial misunderstanding was never thrashed out. I don't even know if I said that properly still. So, we've discussed 5 points so far. We've discussed how arguing can be good and positive, so going with a positive mindset. How you should take the time to find out what the other person actually means by the words they use. Number 3, you should use the words you actually mean. Number 4, understand and state you understand and acknowledge the other person's perspective. Number 5, try not to talk for too long. So, number 6. Number 6, keep the big picture in mind. This is especially important when you're having conversations with someone you really love, let's say a spouse, or you're trying to thrash out a family feud, or you're talking about a topic that is very important to you or to society, such as the issue of verbal, physical, sexual abuse, racism, politics. Try and think about what you ultimately want to achieve and try and make sure you're always coming back to that so that you don't feel exhausted by the end of the conversation as if you've not made any difference or improvement. Focusing on the bigger picture will also help you stay on track. This is very important for conversations that can be easily emotion led. Emotions are good, but if we run with them and run with them alone, they can take us to places we don't need to go. If you focus on what you're trying to achieve, you'll be able to keep your emotions on check a bit better. So let's give 2 scenarios. Let's do a spouse situation and a hot topic situation. So for a spouse situation, your goal is to get something in the house fixed and build a better system that you both take responsibility to do that adequately. Then focus on that. Don't start bringing up things that happened 2 years ago with your sister or your friend. Is that actually relevant to fixing that item? Think about it. It probably isn't. Is your input going to help you achieve the point? Is it going to help you paint the main picture? In the area of hot topic discussions, I don't really want to use that word, but I can't really think of anything else to summarize them. Topics are really important. What is your goal in your discussion? And ask if the points you've contributed to your discussion will actually help that point be achieved, or if it's just a bit of a rant. So have you actually put forward ideas, suggestions to actually start moving forward, or have you just ranted about the fact that you don't like something without actually contributing to the change or improvement of it? Because it seems that's why you're bringing it up. Number 7, don't take things personally. And the issue is not being emotionally invested in something. The issue is when your emotions become the forefront instead of the solution. Because they're being straightforward in stating their difference, doesn't mean they hate you, doesn't mean they don't like you. It might not even be about you. You don't have to take it personally. What you have to do though is learn how to pause inside, process what the issue is, analyze if that defense mechanism is valid. If it's not valid, put it to the side, realign yourself, think about the last point, what's the big picture, and then refocus on achieving your aim. Don't take things personally just because someone is having a different perspective to you. Number 8, summarize at the end or at the middle at good intervals, just to make sure that you're both on the same page about what you're both trying to say, acknowledging both perspectives. What I personally dislike is being in situations where there's discussion and discussion and discussion and discussion, and then at the end it's like, oh, what did I get from that? Nothing. like then that's just so frustrating. It's like, then what was the point? We were just practicing our vocals. I don't understand. Take that time at the end to summarize your key points and also summarize the other person's key points just to check that you've adequately considered them. And also, this is a chance for you to be humble and admit if some of your perspectives have changed thanks to the good explanation and discussion from the other person. So I hope you guys like that chit chat. that chit chat. I don't know exactly how we're gonna thrash this out in the future. Maybe I'll do some more commentary on the actual item. We'll see. So as you guys become masters in the art of arguing and also maybe try your own 15-minute challenge from scratch, what I would like you to do is remember that you are wonderfully created.